Well, we emailed Anushri and her mom and her teacher too. And by the way, we also notified the principal at the school, the superintendent, Senator Glazer's office, of course, and the state superintendent of public instruction, Tony Thurman. And we were just so eager we knew what the winning design was, but we needed to make sure that everybody had their edits in. And when it finally came, we're like, let's do this. And so off the email went, and we immediately got a reply saying how excited she was.
Welcome everyone to a very interesting conversation that we have for you today. We have a Doherty Valley High School student joining us today, Anushri Banerjee. Welcome, Anushri.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
You are very welcome. And Anushri is the one who created the winning design for the mental health awareness license plate. And we will talk more about that and how she was able to join this and work on this design. And we have Graham Weisman joining us. Graham is the CEO and co-founder of Being Well, California. And welcome, Graham. And you are not even in California, as I understand right now.
That's right, Aparna. Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually in Nevada, enjoying the 114-degree temperatures we're having.
And we are so glad you're joining us, because we would not have had this conversation despite us being in separate states had it not been for Zoom. So thank you to both of you for being a part of this very important special conversation. My very first question to both of you, how hard was it to work with each other on this design? And we will talk about its journey, but how hard was it for you, Anushri? Was Graham being a pain at any point?
No, actually it was mostly independent until the award was found, and their instructions for like the message were very clear, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do when I looked up Being Well. So it was very amazing to work with Graham and the whole team.
Well, we'll find out a little bit more. So Graham, I'm very aware of your work. We do meet, we used to before COVID, for the Tri-Valley Mental Health Coalition meetings. And I remember you talking about this at that time, that you were working with Senator Glazer as well. And then the bill, Senate Bill 1223, was the one that ultimately led to this. Can you give us a little bit of background about this, how you thought about this and about your organization as well?
Well, yes, but I'll go back to Anushri's question there of working with us. We really did try to provide just a hands-off environment, because we didn't want to influence anybody's design. We wanted it to come from their hearts as they thought about mental health in a positive way. And that, when you see her design, you'll see that come shining through. So what we did is we, in 2013, we lost our son Colin to suicide. And his battle with depression, he didn't win. But soon after that, I was contacted by other parents who also had children that were struggling with mental health issues. And we looked and saw what schools were doing, ones that were addressing this, and they were using a concept of wellness centers focused on mental health. What we also realized was these were in affluent communities in Marin County, Piedmont, La Marinda, and so forth. So while wellness centers are a fantastic idea, they're not evenly dispersed. So we decided to form a nonprofit and start putting wellness centers in all schools in California. We had success in the Acalanes district and put 4 in. We then worked with San Ramon Valley, and we had 30 slated to be installed, but that was pre-COVID, so we'll see how things go. But the wellness center concept to address the startling numbers for youth with mental health issues such as anxiety and depression, it's really quite alarming. 1 in 4 students in our state struggle with a mental health issue before they graduate from high school.
And that has been a challenge during this shelter in place even more. We'll talk a little bit more about it, but let's go back to Anushri. How did you come into this picture? How was it that you felt this was something you wanted to be involved in? Take us back to that time when you first started looking at this and felt this was something you wanted to do.
Yeah. So the project was introduced to me by my teacher, Mr. Silverman, and he was like, "Hey guys, I found this little contest. It would be great if you guys want to check it out and maybe participate." So I took a look at it, and I really believe in mental health. Like, it's something that I really want to advocate for in life. I think it's really important, especially like being in a school environment where teens are more sad than happy most of the time, which should never be the case. So I was hoping that, one day I can do something where I can make a mark in the world. And this was that opportunity. And so I went to their website. I learned all about, the reason behind it. I learned all about Colin's story. And that really motivated me to try to bring California into the picture as well, as this is just for California. It's a state competition. So all of these things tied together and came into my design eventually. And it's just a message that I really wanted to be a part of, and it really inspired me. And it's something that I think is important and prevalent, especially in this time.
So for us non-artists who just cannot draw and stick to one color, how many drafts did it take before you felt it was something you wanted to submit?
Oh wow, it took a while. I had a lot of help from my mom especially, and a lot of my friends. Like, I was just sending them draft over draft. I just really wanted it to be perfect. It was one of those moments where I really had my heart set on it, and I wanted to make sure it was perfect. So the original design that I submitted was something that I was always working on, but I wasn't completely sure how I wanted to work with it. So the 3 things that I wanted to incorporate in my design, regardless of how it happened, were was California in some way, my favorite, what makes me happy in California, and mental health. So I wanted to incorporate those somehow, but in a positive light, because I think, you can make something good out of, your troubles in life. So I also didn't want it to be, like pulling down the viewer. I wanted them to be uplifted when they see it. So it did take me a while to find the exact way I wanted to convey that message through a little tiny design in the corner. But I eventually found it, and it just all completed from there. And it was just so easy to work off.
Which grade are you in right now, Anushri?
I'm going to be a senior this year.
Those are very profound words coming from a student, very deep thinking. Normally you don't go into that much understanding, but looks like you really went and connected with Colin's story and what was required for this project. Graham, tell us how the selection process was. I know it was across the state, so you received a lot of entries. Were you a part of the selection committee to see which one would resonate more?
Yes, I was. And so we had the co-founders of Being Well. We each got an equal vote, and not like a plus vote. But it went out. We had votes from the CEO for National Alliance on Mental Illness for California, some bank representatives. We also ran this contest through the California Association of Art Educators and through the CDE, the Department of Education. So we had a lot of input on what the winning design was. And the key that Anushri's design reflects is a positive image of mental health. We sent this invitation out to over 1,000 school districts. And so there was a broad broadcast of this, and we received responses from over 100 school districts across the state. Anything from, we had crayon on binder paper all the way up to electronic designs. But what we were judging was, is this a positive message about mental health? And that when you see the license plate, you can totally understand that.
It is. It is a very uplifting, and it drives the point that you're trying to highlight: mental health awareness. So, was this selection process over a period of few weeks, or did it take days? Because you had to probably revisit some of the ones that you were liking.
Yes, we made a top 10 selection list, and then a top 5, and then because at that point the schools were closed, we had to extend the contest because many students were unable to access the software they'd used to do the designs. And so it kind of went on a bit longer than we had hoped, but I think the end result was justified.
And how was Anushri informed? And take us back to that day, how it felt to say, okay, this is the design we're going with, and we're going to inform the winner. How was it done?
Well, we emailed Anushri and her mom and her teacher too. And by the way, we also notified the principal of the school, the superintendent, Senator Glazer's office, of course, and the state superintendent of public instruction, Tony Thurman. And we were just so eager we knew what the winning design was, but we needed to make sure that everybody had their edits in. And when it finally came, we're like, let's do this. And so off the email went, and we immediately got a reply saying how excited she was.
Well, Anushri, tell us now, how excited were you to hear that?
I honestly, I was so shocked because of COVID, it got delayed. So I assumed, oh, maybe it's not going to happen. And I was okay with that. I was like, I did what I wanted to do. I really liked what I submitted. I had a lot of fun doing it. It's okay. And I got the email saying like prior that I had got into the top 5, which was enough for me. Like, I was so grateful for that. Like, I even told my mom, I was like, even if it was top 5, like, that's all I wanted. Like, it's okay. And then my mom calls me into her room and she's like, come here. And I was so scared. I was like, oh no, did I do something wrong? I'm like panicking. And then she's like, I have some good news for you. And I just start screaming when I see the email. I'm like, oh my God. It was really surreal. It didn't click exactly until like I spoke with Mr. Wiseman and everything like kind of came together. But it was the craziest moment I think I've ever had.
So tell me, how was it speaking to Mr. Wiseman? Did you feel that this was a great thing you did? Did he tell you what you just accomplished?
Yes, it all made sense. I think like I was really happy speaking to him because I got to know that whatever I won was for a cause that's truly going to help people. It wasn't just a corporation. It was like a really meaningful family trying to help other people. And it's not just something that I'm going to submit and it's going to be over. Like, this is going to be like a lifelong impact to people, and people that I'll never be able to see, but they'll know that like some part of it was my help, which when I spoke to him, that just made me so, so happy. Just him explaining the true cause of this and how wellness centers work, because it's a new concept to me as well. And I love learning about it from him when we spoke for the first time.
And we're going to talk about the wellness centers, but I want to get a sense of timing about this license plate. When is DMV going to start implementing it? Essentially, I definitely know I want to get one for our family cars, but I know you both are probably going to be first in line. But how do we get them, and what is the timeline so everyone knows how to acquire these?
All right, so the design right now is at the Department of Motor Vehicles for review. And after it comes back from that, well, as you know, due to COVID, a lot of bills were delayed. So this will be voted on in January of 2021. We're working with Senator Glazer's office to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row so that it's a quick and easy vote for Department of Transportation. Once that happens, the design goes to CHP for review, and they'll make a final one. And Anushri's been great in helping doing these edits as we're going along through the process. So once we get the final approval from CHP, we need to sell 7,500 pre-orders. And that can be done at our website at beingwellca.org. And you can pre-register. And we'll notify you when you can actually order the plate. Once we reach that magic number of 7,500. They go into production and will be sent out to everybody who's ordered them. So it will take at least middle to the end of 2021 before we actually will be able to get any of these out for production.
So what is CHP looking at? It looked like a complete license plate to me with all the sticker where your license, renewal sticker goes in. What are they looking for?
So they run it through a design process where they're using their different license plate reader technologies so that the license plate can be easily read when you cross a bridge and so on.
Got it. Okay, so they have their little things, and I'm assuming Anushri understands that way better now as a part of the process. I think CHP should be very, very obliging and never ticket you. Hopefully you will not be. So let's talk about a little more difficult stuff now that we've talked about this. To me, mental health, it's a condition, it's an emotional state of being. Why do we call it a disorder then? And Anushri, first I'll talk to you. You talked about students being more sad than happy. What do you think is one of the primary reasons for that sadness?
There's a lot, honestly, these days. I think the world just seems a little harder for our generation. There's a lot more to do. There's a lot more competition in the world, and there's a lot of more goals that we have to live up to. And I think there's a lot of pressure just around us. And I think some students just find it hard to manage. I think that's one of the hardest things, is just managing yourself and the whole world around you. And I think that's what brings a lot of people down, is that they don't know what to do next. They don't know what tomorrow has for them, and it's scary.
And for many students, I think the challenge is opening up to a trusted adult. So Graham, your organization has been working tirelessly for promoting awareness, mental health awareness and well-being among students. We know what the solution is. What are some of the concrete steps we as community members can take to support organizations like yours to fulfill this mission even more and do it more efficiently?
Well, I think, as with almost everything like this, being able to talk about it is the biggest help. And so, inviting organizations like Being Well, like NAMI, into the community, that could be into your faith community, your school community, just your local PTAs, to talk about this subject. Overcoming that stigma is one of the most important things. And then supporting people and companies that are out there doing this work. It's difficult. It is hard to get people to want to talk about something that there is so much stigma around. And it's just a step-by-step process of getting people comfortable with a topic that's uncomfortable.
It is an uncomfortable topic. And Anushri, coming from a different heritage and background, it is a stigma, as Graham talked about. How do you feel, and Doherty Valley has a lot of students from different ethnic backgrounds, how easy or difficult do you think it is for students to talk about this either amongst friends or even with members in their family? Do you have any idea or any knowledge of that?
I know in my family, they're really accepting, and they're really, they understand these kinds of things, because everyone in my family has gone through a point in life where they've needed to learn from. And so they understand those lows, and they understand that it's going to get you to a better place. So my family they understand anxiety, they understand everything. So I'm really happy about that. My friends, they do tell me that, my family seems to be, one different one, but other families maybe aren't as accepting and don't understand that mental health is a real thing, and it's not just something you make up in your head or just something that, you're just faking. I think for them, it's a little harder to, as you were saying, talk, because they can't talk about it. They feel like, if they bring it up, then they'll just get pulled down even more because of it. But I think because in Doherty Valley, it's so diverse, there's kind of a connection because of that. We all understand that, you know, at home life might be different, but over here we all kind of understand each other in a way. So it kind of brings us more together, the fact that we're all like from different backgrounds, but we kind of understand the same problem that we face. And, you know, everyone's working really hard to change that with our generation, I think.
And Graham, Anushri brings up a good point about understanding where each one has a different background. So the diagnosing the underlying causes are more important than doing a band-aid solution with medication. Yet routinely, medication is the first thing that is offered when somebody is diagnosed with depression or anxiety or any of those things. How do you feel about that? And what role can a wellness center play to wean children, especially children, I'm going to refer to them, away from medication and into getting real solutions for the underlying causes? It could be some trouble at home or something else that's going on and that's never diagnosed. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I often cite a study that came out beginning of last year from the University of Michigan. And they did a 12-year study of students who had either made suicide attempts or shown strong suicide ideation. One half of the study got the regular treatment, which included medication and therapy. The test subjects had one other element, and that is that they added a caring adult. So the students selected someone who they wanted to be a caring adult, and it wasn't typically wasn't a professional. At the end of this 12-year study, what they found was that the suicide rate and suicide attempt rate was 660% lower for the students who had that caring adult. And it just shows how important making that connection is. And as we talk about the environment, we are not even in the same state. And we're watching each other on a screen. It's difficult to make a connection. It's even more difficult to share something personal and scary, like I'm feeling depressed with someone. And so we see it as an even greater need now for people to be willing to be that caring adult, to listen.
And exactly, that's what you brought up. Being seeing each other through a screen is much different of a conversation than being there with the person, a caring, trusted adult. The feeling, I think you fend off of each other's energy. So what's going on inside? I may be depressed completely, but smiling, and you will never be able to connect to that feeling. So now you mentioned it briefly at the onset of this interview that the wellness centers may also be put on hold, the plans, as because of the COVID-19 situation. Is that still in line with what was proposed earlier to open it this fall at the two high schools, Doherty Valley and Cal High? Are we still moving forward or no?
Well, I know that there's a new superintendent that will be starting with the school, and it's summer, so communication is kind of hard. My wife is a school teacher, and all they're focused on right now is how they're going to address this distance learning. And so everything else has kind of been pushed to the side while trying to deal with this crisis. So that's why I just put out there that I know that budgets are affected. I know that there's no sense in putting a wellness center on a campus if nobody's there. But how do you make a virtual wellness center? Yeah. And one thing I do need to point out, and I'd forgotten a little earlier, is that the funds raised by this license plate go to the Department of Education specifically to fund these wellness centers.
That was my next question. So because that timeline is January, do you think it would be a great way to transition into having more wellness centers instead of the two? I know the goal was to have it everywhere eventually, but this would maybe turn out a better way to know the funds are being raised and being allocated for wellness centers. So that timeline may shift a little, but at least we're moving in a concrete direction. So this next question is for both of you. At this time, a lot of people have gone through financial losses, job losses, and illnesses. there are people struggling, and that takes a toll emotionally, whether it's Anushri's age, whether it's Graham, our age. We all are seeing it around us. Businesses have closed. If people are not seeking mental health services, what are options they can do at home on their own before we want everybody to get help? What were some of the things they can do at Anushri's age group? Anushri, you think of some while Graham talks about some that he's probably already talking about. So Graham, let's start with you.
Sure. So the number one feeling that people are struggling with is that they are alone. They are the only one going through this, even though on TV you can see that it's affecting just, you know, all of society. The importance of reaching out to communicate with someone is probably the best thing people can do. And there are online groups, there are meetups, there are resources available through county agencies, through faith groups, and so forth. So I think bonding with other people and having a shared experience is probably the best thing people can do. And it start out easy. Don't look for the group that says, I'm struggling with this very specific issue I'm going through, but I'm just feeling, you know, anxious, or I've lost my livelihood and now I'm wondering where I should go. There's a lot of other people in the same boat. And what we hear a lot on the television right now is just the problems. We don't hear much about, you know, solutions. So it really is, don't withdraw. You're not alone. Reach out, because there's people out there often you haven't even met that really do care about you. And just try and make that connection. So
it's up to the individual to make that first effort to connect with a trusted partner somewhere.
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
I was watching a film last night, and one of the comments was, the world is full of lonely people who never took the first step.
Yes, that's very true. And Anushri, now your generation thrives on some apps and social media. I don't even know. I can't keep tabs. So inform us, how can younger students, younger population reach out, get the help that they need, and not have to feel that they have to talk to their parents? It's very uncomfortable to talk to parents about such things. What are some things you can think of they can utilize?
Yeah, so definitely, as you mentioned, like there's so much social media these days, and it's really a platform where you get to choose what you want to do with it. You know, you can either not use it or you can make the most of it. I know so many people who have, you know, they just posted something on maybe their private story, they're not doing too well, and all it takes is one person to just swipe up and comment, hey, do you need to talk? Or do you need anything? Or just, I'm here for you, you know? Like it doesn't take too much. Or, you know, if you don't feel like talking to someone, there are so many videos online where you can, you know, watch someone else go through the same thing and see their journey. So many people have now documented their progress with mental health and their tips, their advice, their overall coming over this sadness within you. And it doesn't take much to just Google like help, you know, like it's all there. Like everything's on the internet. And like Mr. Meisen was saying, there's so many support groups that you don't even need to go to. You can just go on a chat room. Like you literally just have to type in a chat room, and that's all it takes. Just taking that first step and, you know, utilizing what you have in front of you in any way that you can. And if you don't have, you know, electronic devices, you know, to access social media, find something within your life that once made you happy, like maybe coloring a book. Just take a piece of paper, draw a doodle, or take a crayon and just color something. I think those things are simple, and they, you know, they might sound like a preschool type of activity, but they're really like grounding, and they just bring you back to something that you enjoy, which is just simple, and it just takes your mind off of whatever you're feeling pain from.
And I think it's those simple things that bring the most amount of joys. It doesn't cost anything, and it just is bringing back that little element of innocence and fun that we all have pretty much detached ourselves from in the rigors of daily life, which is understandable, but it is so necessary. Before we let you go on your merry ways journeying through Nevada, Graham and Anushri, wherever you are. Anushri, what are your plans, your future plans, and any parting thoughts for our audience?
I just hope that I can continue doing things like this. I hope that I continue finding organizations where I can help in any way. This time I got to show my artistic side. Who knows, maybe another time I can do a dance. I just want to keep trying to help. I think I don't really have a lot of set plans as to what I'm going to be in the future. I am very indecisive. My plans change every day, but I know that I want to help people in some way. And I know that's something that I really, really believe in. And I know that like I can do because it's within me. I know that I have that ability to help people, but I just need to find places and outlets where I can do so.
And then when you see your created design on every license plate, I'm sure that's going to give you an immense amount. You're going to look at every car and say, that's the one. Just don't go too close to that car, pointing to the license plate.
Yes, so excited.
Thank you. And we are all looking for, we want those license plates on every car in California. That's going to be our goal, to promote it and get it on there. Graham, any parting thoughts? And thank you for what you've been doing over the years. It is a very difficult undertaking, especially all the stigmas around mental health. It is not easy. And I know the amount of work you've done, and I have immense amount of respect for it. So any parting thoughts about you, your work, or your organization?
Thank you. Thank you, Aparna. I think that this is work that just doesn't end. It will always continue because people always will feel these the anxiety and the stress and so forth. I think that realizing that someone having a mental health issue is not their fault. They've done nothing wrong. People can beat themselves up or give themselves, descriptors that are very negative because of what they're going through, but also the people around them can assign those. So, if you do know somebody who is hurting, who's a friend, or even if they're not, then be a friend and offer to help. And that can be just listening without judgment, without recommendation, just listening, helping that person unburden themselves of that. And sometimes these need professional help. So don't be afraid to reach out and get some professional help. If you have a broken arm, you can't fix it yourself. You need someone to help. And then you can go on with a happy life. And that's the thing that people don't understand is you can recover from many of these mental illnesses and lead a happy and productive life. So it's not the end.
Well, and that is the most important thing. Get help when you need it. Don't wait. Don't just sit there and wonder what others will think. I have utmost respect, as I said, for the work both of you have accomplished. Mental health and wellness is very dear to my heart, and promoting this has been something that I really believe in. Not just me doing it, but the community doing it. And while Colin's death was a very unfortunate event, I know, Graham, it's been painful, but for the chain of events that happened after that and for you to talk about it, I'm sure it has been a big help for a lot of families to be able to relate that the pain is real and it cannot be sidelined. So thank you to both of you for your time today and for your work. And we wish you all the best in all future projects that you may do. I don't know if you want to work with Graham after this, Anushri, but if you could, that would be one of the best people you could ask for a field like this. Graham, thank you so much for all the work, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you so much, Aparna. Thank you for getting us together, and thank you for all the work that you do in our community, because I see you everywhere, and I know you're so busy, and this is somewhat thankless, as people, you have helped them, but you never know. So thank you for all you do too.
Thank you. And have a wonderful day, both of you.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
So much.